Okay.
Yeah, mate.
Yes, mate. Just a heads up. It is live on YouTube right now, but it's unlisted.
Oh, yeah.
So just mind your P's and Q's really. So because obviously when I put this to list,
Mhm.
it should go live
Cool. Okay.
in theory.
So, what is our plan in terms of do we have like an agenda we're working our way through here, or do you want to just roll through it?
I think we just roll, mate. And I've got plenty of questions. It would be some good back and forth. Obviously, I imagine you've got your notes from your personal ones with Oxford. We can obviously then look at Bartlett and the other sort of situations as we did last time.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of share my screen at some point.
I can allow you to do that. That's fine.
Yeah, if you can allow me to do that to
I
kind of
can
through.
probably allow you to do that now before we get
Yeah.
multiple parts. Yeah, you should. So as of now, you should be able to share screen. So
Cool. Yeah,
um,
I'll do that because there's some stuff.
let me hit record real quick just so I don't forget once we go live, because that's obviously for the like Spotify, Apple, and all that.
Yeah, no worries.
So let me
Because
get back.
I managed to get 250 quid back out of them, but they won't concede on everything. Uh,
Okay.
but it's a start. It's a
Yeah,
start.
I mean, yeah, it's a start.
They'll probably
Uh,
find me double that after this, but it's cool.
but mate, sometimes needs must and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why can it's not allowing me to? Oh, there we go. Right. So if I put public done, as soon as I hit save, that should be us, mate.
Cool.
What I will do, I'll try and put it up on. You can up minimize zoom while you're doing that. Okay. So let's go onto YouTube. Search. Yeah, I can see it, but now I'm going to click it onto so that everybody else can see it. Public, save. Right. Let's see how we're looking. That should all be updated now. It does say we're live, but I want to make sure. Do you want to check on your phone, Morsey? Just go onto the 4,000 account in YouTube page, because sometimes because I'm the admin, it'll just show me that anyway.
Cool. Let me just double check.
So content live. Technically, we should be live now. I'm not sure if we are live viewers. Yeah, okay. So we're starting to get some viewers. I can see that on the back end of YouTube right now. So in that case, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to 4,000 and counting. I am Watty, no Mark today, still on the IR, but I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Shane Morsey. Thanks for joining 4,000 and counting once again.
Welcome back, mate. Glad to be here. Happy to be sharing some more experiences, shall we say.
Well, it is experiences. I want to address something off the bat before we get into the DOPS and a few other things. Obviously, the police have come out. South Yorkshire police have come out today. They've made a statement. A man has been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter in connection with the death of Nottingham Panthers' Adam Johnson. Now, we know when it says a man, that's Matt Patgrave. Already the hate started online. And there's been some real smart people, actually, that have had some smart things to say. And I'm going to share that with all of you right now. This is from friend of the show, Dr. Victoria Silverwood. There's a lady that knows a thing or two about a thing or two. So listen to what she says and absorb it. She is a very, very smart lady. Okay. Regarding the death of Adam Johnson and the news, excuse me, the news of a player arrested on suspicion of manslaughter by Dr. Victoria Silverwood. I am a criminologist with 16 years experience in researching violence in sport, specifically in ice hockey for my PhD in 2016. I understand the confusion that a lot of hockey players' fans are experiencing at the moment. I teach modules on sports criminology and homicide. Whilst it's not always necessary, it is common practice that a person whose actions led to an unexpected death may be arrested in order for more information to be gathered about the event and potentially for restricting to, sorry, to try that again. An event and potentially for restrictions to be put in place, including but not limited to restrictions in activity, residing in the country, restrictions on movement. Whilst investigations are carried out, as with all unexpected death, this matter has now been passed on to the coroner, who will fully investigate the case and pass judgment on the evidence. This process can take months or even years to fully investigate, importantly. An arrest does not mean or does not equal guilt. Even a criminal charge does not equal guilt. We need to let the legal system run its course and avoid speculation on sensationalized accounts. Yeah, what she said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been discussing the same thing tonight with family and friends who I've been out with, and exactly the same as what I said. It means nothing. It just means they're gathering. Doesn't mean he's going to get charged. If he does get charged, who knows what's going to happen here? Anything can happen, but it does not signal guilt.
I think everyone will know that has listened to this podcast for 4 years. I might have been arrested once or twice back in the day, and some for stuff that I totally did, and some for stuff that I didn't do. And guess what? The police bring you in, they drill you, and if your answers check out and the story corroborates and they find no evidence, they release you from caution and they release you from the police station. So sometimes it is just arrest under caution to be interviewed. That allows them to read you your rights. And then, so it kind of covers all bases. Obviously, we saw the accounts. They're straight on it. These North American boys don't fuck around, do they?
No, not in the slightest.
It's all over every major news outlet. Again, the way they're reporting it, guys, try not to let it rub you up the wrong way. I've read it this time and it hasn't rubbed me up the wrong way, purely on the basis of we've already done this. We've done this 2.5 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. We've done the hate, we've done the shit websites, we've done all of that. We've had nice vigils, we've had nice flowers, we've had nice things happening in the UK. Let's not get dragged back into that with these fucking knuckle draggers that are on Twitter and stuff like that. We've done it once already. We don't need to go through that again. As Victoria says, the police are doing their due diligence, and the outcome will be announced. Could be months, could be years, who knows? It could be a long time. The police have asked people not to speculate on what's going to happen. Obviously, I want to take a little bit of umbrage with something. If you don't want that to happen, don't leak it to the fucking press that you've arrested him then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, did you, because you could arrest him today, question him, decide he's not guilty and release him, but all these they're already all over it.
Yeah, well, that's it. People only need half an inch and they'll take a mile. Like, you know, they'll find their own decisions on what they think has happened, and it's just wrong. It's wrong.
Let's see. Popcorn at the ready for this one, Alfie. Graham says, let's go. Yeah, so I was actually talking to Mr. Banners on the wall, Mr. Anthony Russell, earlier today, just by DM and stuff like that, shooting the shit. And he says there's a kind of silver lining to all this. A bunch of things have now kicked into play that will protect Matt Petgrave. I.e., what I was saying before, you have to read him his rights. So there will be things have a right to a solicitor, and hopefully the Sheffield Steelers are fronting that, because a solicitor in this case is not going to be cheap.
No, definitely not. Well, you'd hope they've got insurance for that, right?
I mean, I would hope they have insurance for a lot of things, but that's a different episode. That's a fucking totally different episode. I really, really do hope for their sake the insurance is bulletproof.
Yeah,
I really do, because we know when injury lawyers and people like that start getting involved, then every nook and cranny is going to get turned over. Every insurance detail is going to get turned over, and there's going to be a thorough investigation. Obviously, now he's been arrested, whether he's charged or not, that still doesn't stop a civil case at a later date, whether that be against Matt, whether it be against Panther, against the Steelers, whether it be against the league, or my friend was telling me all the way up to the IIHF. So, right. Like, it's basically if we don't get you here, we'll get you here, and if we don't get you here, we'll get you there, and if we don't get you there, we'll get you at the top. And I understand it from a legal point of view. She was telling me and discussing, but that isn't what tonight is about. Tonight is about the Department of Player Safety. Now, you may not have seen part 1 to this discussion. If you haven't, even after today, it will still be valid. Go back and listen to it. There was a lot of good talking points. I thought myself and Shane talked fair but passionately. I thought we brought more than just an opinion to it. We brought some facts, and we brought some worries. We initially, at that point, said, let's touch base again in January. We'll do this again in January. Little did we know it would be like 7 days until the wheels started falling off. And January seemed like a long, long way away. So we decided to roll it back. And obviously we planned to do it the week Adam died. So we pushed it back, and, it's getting dates and getting time. So I know a lot of you have been excited for this one. Morsey, let's start with Darcy Flanagan.
Well, that's where it all started, right? Like, so those who haven't seen the first one, this has all come off the back of an absolutely outrageous decision to give Darcy Flanagan a 10-match ban for in their words, cross-check to the head, or a check to the head, and we've obviously gone back and proven that hasn't happened. And I guess just to kind of bring people up to speed, right? So. First and foremost, right? This is not me blaming the ref. Refs make a call on the night on what they see.
We even broke it down in the first video, Morsey. We shared screened. We watched the video back. We looked where Blaine was stood. We looked where linesman number 1 was stood, and we looked where linesman number 2. We then tried to objectively view it through their eyes from their position.
Yeah.
Now, the conclusion we came to, with the size of that fucking unit, Llewellyn, and the size of Blaine Evans, unless Blaine Evans got X-ray vision, he wasn't seeing through Joe Llewellyn's back.
No,
he wasn't.
But either way, right?
I was going to say, but that's still not his fault. He's made the call what he saw on the night. Yeah. He never called 10 games. And I saw people at the start giving him shit. I was like, he was nothing to do with the 10 games.
No, absolutely not. He's called what he saw on the night. Fair enough, it happens. The next stage, though, is where you're meant to get a bit more of a fair kind of crack at the whip here, right? Like you're meant to then, push through, get a Department of Player Safety who review the event, and hopefully you expect them to kind of see sense and be like, well, there's blatantly not a check to the head there, as we can see on the video. So let's just toss it out. Job done. That didn't happen. It got 10 games off the back of it, which was absolutely mental in the first place.
Banana lands, man. Just plucking numbers out the air.
Yeah, and I think that's where this all started, right? Because if this had just been a straight, do you know what, we're giving it a 1-game ban or whatever, as a club, Oxford, we wouldn't have even bothered. We'd have been like, whatever, get rid of it, crack on, like lesson learned. 10-game ban, okay, we're fighting this because it's ridiculous. So let's fast forward a little bit, right? So what's happened since then? Joe Llewellyn steps up. Absolutely fair play to the lad on this one for what it's worth.
Oh, by the way, this is wild, folks.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to process. I've known this for 2 weeks. Still trying to process the information in my brain.
So I spoke to what was then the head of the Department of Player Safety, Mike Maidens, and I said, "This is ridiculous. How has this been upheld at 10 games after we've appealed it off the back of this? We've paid our £500,
500 sheets, baby. Let's go."
Like 500 quid we drop, and for a 3rd-tier ice hockey club in the UK, that's a lot of money.
Of course, yeah.
And so we dropped that money expecting a proper appeal process. We don't get that. We just get a letter come back from George Ellison, barrister, that says, "Nah, I'm upholding this at 10 games," which is mental. I then speak to Mike Maidens, who was the then head of DOPS. He says, "Do you know what, Shane? If you can get me what you've told me from Joe Llewellyn," which is Joe Llewellyn said, "I didn't get checked to the head." He writes that email as a statement to them and says, "This is mental. Why are you doing this?" Absolutely fair crack of the whip to him for what it's worth. Because
yeah, by the way, I love that.
Top props. Like he cares about the sport like we do. Like he doesn't want to see it, in a bad place. He writes that. Mike says, "Yeah, look, I'll see if I can get that sorted." Comes back again.
One sec, Morsey. Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
For what you people at home might not realise, Joe got released from Oxford this summer. He could have told him to fucking stick it up right up their hoop. Yeah. Like, he definitely did not need to write that letter. Like, no. If there was ever, like, a hateful bone in the boy's body, he would have went, nah. But he didn't. He took the high road, even on the back of getting released from there, and still went out of his way to say, yo, he didn't hit me in the chest. Now, I just want to make that very, very clear that he was being a super good guy, because what's to follow?
Yeah, you're right. Call that out. Like he comes out, he says, "I definitely didn't get checked to the head. I got cross-checked to the chest. Fine. We dropped our gloves. We've had a fight. We shook hands off the ice." Now, that's the other thing, right? If somebody's cross-checked you to the head, you ain't shaking hands with them off the ice.
Yeah, no high fives and ice cream cones for that one.
No. So he does that, right? Fair play to him. This is where it just gets absolutely crazy. They come back and they say to us, "Okay, do you know what? If this statement is true, yeah, fine, we can have a look at the Darcy Flanagan ban, but also we're going to charge Joe Llewellyn with bringing the game into disrepute." And
head blown, mate. I don't understand.
Because apparently he didn't come forward with that information. Like,
did you ask him?
No.
Imagine you witness a punch up in town, and the police didn't come and ask you for a witness statement, and then you get arrested for perverting the course of justice because you just didn't walk into the old bill station and go, "Oh, by the way, mate, I just thought I'd do your fucking job for you. here's a statement. It doesn't work like that.
Like, surely, right? Like on the night, if something like this happens, like go and ask the other player, like, yeah, did that happen? Yeah, fine. When it gets to the appeal process, reach out to the player. What happened? What's your account of events? None of that happened. So when Joe very kindly comes forward a couple of weeks later and says, this didn't happen, that's in support of us because I've had to go out and ask the guy. He's gone out of his way to do that. And now you're telling him he's going to get charged with bringing the game. That's just mental. Absolutely mental.
Bringing the game into disrepute for saying I didn't get hit in the head. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Shane, they told him he would have to attend a meeting with a barrister
Yeah.
to prove that he wasn't lying.
Yeah, basically.
Why would he lie? If somebody cross checks you in the head, the last thing you want to do is help that guy out.
Exactly.
Unless you have him next weekend and you want to dummy him, then maybe you're like, yeah, it was absolutely fine. Yeah, he hit me in the ankle. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's go. Just date circled on the calendar, ready to go. But quite clearly from his actions, that is not the case.
No.
I talk in jest, but when we're serious about it, that was not that boy's actions that day. He got hit, wasn't to the head. They dropped their gloves. They have a scrap. Blaine sees it one way, calls it one way. DOPS see it. I don't know. Well, we're going to tell you how they see it in a minute. They see it. I don't know that only 2 people on the fucking planet that see it the way they did, and for good reason as well, because they don't know hockey, which again we'll get onto in a little bit. Take me through post first podcast then, because that kind of seemed to get the ball rolling and conversations start happening. What was the initial conversation after? Because obviously I thought we was very fair, and I thought that there was no way anyone could really come after you for anything we said. We were open, we're honest, we didn't tell any lies, we didn't slag anybody off. We might have put a few home truths where they were needed, but I expected to start conversations. How did that first couple of conversations come about after the pod?
Well, what was interesting, right, was obviously we get shot down straight away when Joe puts that statement across, and they're like, "Yeah, no, do you know what? Not going to happen. Fine." Randomly, like a week later, gets to like 10 o'clock at night. I get a phone call from Mike Maidens, head of DOPS at the time, and he says, "Morsey, any chance you can jump on a call on Thursday night?" This was on a Tuesday. Any chance you can jump on this call on Thursday night? We're going to reopen the Darcy Flanagan case due to new evidence. Okay, I'm there thinking, like, okay, what new evidence? Turns out it's this Joe Llewellyn statement, right? Well, that's not new at this point. Like,
yeah.
You've had it. It's been shot down. Like, where's the new evidence? Anyway, so we jump onto this. We jump onto it anyways on the Thursday night, and I'm expecting like a full appeal panel. Last minute things change and all the rest of it. Mike Maidens wasn't meant to be on there. Then he gets called in on there. Other board members meant to be on there, didn't turn up, and it was just a mess. It was chaos. I've never seen anything like it. If you go into an appeal process like this, you expect there to be some sort of like structure to it, right?
Well, from someone who's been through 2 UK anti-doping appeal processes, as much as they're a sack of wankers, they're about as professional as they come. You walk into that appeal room, you have your barrister, so you have your representation. Sitting opposite you, you're going to have legal counsel, the person that's going to be asking the questions. She or he, depending on who you're having, most likely to have a paralegal there. Yeah. And probably, depending on how severe the case is, my case was pretty severe, a partner from the law firm. Okay, so sat opposite me on both, I've had that. Now, to the head of the table, you're going to have your chair panel, which you're going to have your panel, which is going to be made up of your chair, who's going to take the middle seat, and normally especially in the UCAD situation, it is an appeal panel of 3 people with the chair to have final say, and you have the 2 other people that are sat in on the appeal. Most appeals should be videoed. they should most certainly be recorded to make sure that due process is followed. And I don't know with the IHA, but I do know with UK anti-doping, they are public appeals. So you can go on right now and read word for word exactly what happened in my appeal right now if you want to. I mean, I wouldn't bore yourself. Go listen to the episode that I did. That'd be way more fun. But it is there. So when it comes to appeals, standards should be set. And if you're paying £500 for this fucking appeal, then at the very least, I'd expect the people on the board that are supposed to turn up. I would expect all the.
It turned up 7 minutes late to their own meeting for what it's worth. Like they're like, oh yeah, it's going to start at 8:00, I think it was, or 8:30.
Sounds like a 4,000 accounting podcast.
We literally sat there just like, have we got the right link here? Like me, Darcy, and Joe from Oxford. Like we just sat there. Like, are we even on the right call here? Nobody's here. Like not heard from anyone. Mental.
So they had that opportunity then to call you guys in. They turn up late to their meeting. How does the meeting start?
So it took a while to get going because it felt like nobody had a clue who was chairing it or who was doing what. Mike Maidens eventually kind of says, okay, let's get going on this. But officially, he wasn't meant to be the chair.
Somebody hit somebody. Let's go.
Let's get going. So he kind of starts it off. And then there was no introductions about who's who on the call, which I found really weird.
It is weird because I couldn't pick George Ellison or Barry Archer out of a lineup. They could walk in my gaff right now. I would be none the wiser, mate.
No, of course you wouldn't. Like it's
not like Steve Moria and Tony Hand. Like if I sit down on a Zoom call with those two boys, don't worry, fellas. You scored enough points that you don't have to introduce yourself to me. I think I know who you are. That's that's okay. Yeah, when it's two guys that have fuck all to do with hockey, other than they are to do with hockey, somehow, let's start with a little introduction.
It would make sense, right? Surely you just do a quick round table, like who's who in the room, like what's their interest in them being here for a start? Like who are they representing? What are they doing?
So yeah, again, going back to the UCAD thing. Forgive me and my solicitor here, a very last minute replacement. But yeah, exactly that, Shane. He stands up. I am blah blah. I'm here to defend Mr. Watt. This is Mr. Watt to my right. Mr. Watt, can you address the court? Yeah, I'm Mr. Watt, blah blah blah. Then off to the other side, and the chairperson is like, I'm so and so. Again, the two vice chairs. I'm so and so. Goes across to the legal counsel. I'm here. I'm on behalf of UCAD.
Yeah,
that was just to start the meeting off.
None of that whatsoever. It ends up starting off properly, I guess, when George Ellison, who is a barrister, but this is an interesting one for me. Can't find him on any barristers' registers. The EIJ are stating to me he is a barrister,
a non-practicing barrister, if I'm not mistaken.
A non-practicing barrister is how they're kind of saying it. But this is a real interesting point to me, actually. So George Ellison signs this off as barrister when he emails me. And the official response to the ban, he emails with barrister on the bottom of his name. But if you're a non-practicing barrister and you're not, and they made it quite clear to me, he's not offering legal services to the EIJ.
Yeah.
Why is he signing off as a barrister? I'm not saying it's anything particularly wrong, but in my understanding, you shouldn't be doing that. I might be wrong.
You might be wrong. You might be right. If you are right, then it's bizarre.
To me, it feels like it's because it carries power and weight and people won't question it. That's how it feels to me. So he's signed off as barrister on there, but he's non-practicing. He's not offering legal services to the EIJ apparently.
So what is he? I'll tell you what. Let's come to that Let's come to that sort of the breakdowns of who's who and what's what when we get to the end of the appeal process. Okay. Let's stick to that for now. So we're sat there. Yeah. You got Darcy. You got my girl Jo there. You've got fucking a game of Guess Who going on. Try to figure. You're like just flipping boards down, be like, This one's got glasses. Like, yeah, just having a little game of guess
Some,
who to try and
some of
figure out.
them, some of them didn't even have their cameras on. Like, so it was even like, I don't even know who
Oh,
the,
stranger danger. I don't like that.
yeah, like it doesn't feel right to me doing that.
Well, I know how hard it is to do a podcast when the other person's camera is off
Right.
because it's difficult. You're like, oh, sorry, you're speaking. Oh, I should jump in now. And I don't know how you're supposed to run a conversation when you're not looking a man eye to eye.
But here's the thing, right? So he starts off, this George Ellison guy, who's the chair of the appeals panel. He starts basically talking about why he's upheld this 10-game appeal, and he immediately just latches on and to the fight, doesn't even mention the check to the head at this point, and for about half an hour he just
Sorry,
goes
that was so camp. Sorry.
for about half an hour, mate. He just goes on and on about how it was a violent act and that Darcy Flanagan grabbed the guy behind the head, punches him to the face 5 times, and all this. Bear in mind, I think both of those guys.
The worst tilt I've ever seen.
I think both of them, neither of them connected with a single punch for a start.
There was a lot of air getting fucking drilled out.
I don't think any of them connected with the punch, but he just latches on with this for about half an hour. And you can't get a word in edgeways. He's just going on and on. Oh, wow. And every time you say, you're not, I had to literally interrupt him and say, I'm really sorry, mate. You're not here to decide whether fighting in ice hockey is a thing. Like, we've signed up to a set of rules. Like, we've done that. The rules have been set. We've signed up to them. You're here to judge if there's been a check to the head, not to decide if fighting in ice hockey is a thing. But he just went on and on and on about this fight.
Like a dog with a bone, eh?
Yeah, like just would not give it a rest, mate. And you could even see and I won't name these people on there, but you could see other members from the EIJ just there, just just thinking, what is this guy going on about?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Like,
there was
waiting for Will Ferrell to pop out and just like ruin the meal.
There was one point where I nearly lost it because the guy started talking about skis, and I was like, "What the fuck has skis got to do with this?
Are they yours? Both of them?" Like,
the guy doesn't actually even know what he's talking about. And this is the other thing, right? Like, so he just felt so ill prepared and unknowledgeable about everything. Like how you could have a chair.
So speaking of unknowledgeable, Morsey, I can't believe you didn't fucking lead with this.
Well,
Did he not start the meeting by basically saying he knows nothing about ice hockey?
Yeah, the guy literally said he doesn't know anything about ice hockey.
Right. Okay. I can't stress this enough. Again, I'm going to throw it out to my boy Banners on the Wall, because he did say you don't need to be an ice hockey expert to sit and do the legal stuff, which, hey, he's 1,000% right. But then if you're going to start reviewing video and you don't know what you're watching and you turn a check to the head into a video about fighting, I believe I said to you, actually, because you said it was really violent, I said, fuck me, let's send in my YouTube. I'll send in my YouTube reel. Go and watch 70 of those toe-to-toe face punching contests, and then tell me this was evil. And by the way, there was quite a lot of fist taps after a lot of those ones as well, because hey, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. And if you knew anything about ice hockey, you would know that.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't understand any of that. What another piece that got me right, like as I say, he started talking about skis, which I nearly lost it with. Like, who the fuck does that? Like, at least know the sport you're fucking talking about here. Yeah. And then what was the other one he did? Oh, he says, well, Darcy's already served, like, I think he said 6 or 8 weeks, and I'm like, what's this guy on about? Like, he literally has no idea what's going on. He said Darcy's already served 8 weeks. I'm like, no, he hasn't. He's been like, sat for like 6 games at this point, not 8 weeks. Like, this, it's so absolutely clueless, mate. Like, so not.
You touched on him not really seeming to have any sort of clue going in. I want to address something real quick, which we'll come back to. I should have touched on it a minute ago. When, for those who don't know, when Morsey is addressing Mike Maidens and saying the then Department of Player Safety has since resigned, we'll give our take on that in a minute. But obviously, Mike's got this on the go. What's he saying at this point? Is he
Stay quiet.
does he look like he was the man in charge,
No,
or
camera off,
did
camera off, and just quiet.
interesting? Because as much as I like to, zip it around, source it about with the team and everything, if I'm captain, if I'm coach, if I'm the lead or the head, you better believe that I want to have my boys in a row. And if it's going to be my name that's going out on these fucking pressers, especially after you suing me with a 10G game, I want to know how you're going to go into this meeting, how you're going to approach it, how are you going to make me not look like a fucking prick in the morning?
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that has to come out and go, hey, we've given this or we've done that. When actually, if his camera's off, he's staying silent. You've literally done nothing, mate.
Yeah. There was it's
nothing more than a title then, in your opinion.
No, like I generally feel bad for the guy in a way, because I think he's been made
scapegoated, hasn't he?
On this. He didn't make the decision like about 10 games. He didn't have anything to do with the appeal process. And yeah, like there was a point on this appeals panel, right? After this fucking George Ellison guy goes on for half an hour about fighting in ice hockey, where I had to turn around and be like, okay, can someone just tell me who's actually, like, is anyone actually able to downgrade this at any point? Because
what are we doing here?
Yeah, like what are we doing here? I don't know who's in charge. I don't know who can make a decision on this. I just felt lost throughout the whole appeal process. I've never seen anything like it.
Before we crack on with that, this one's for you, Jackie boy. Jack Moreno. I want to know who the fuck stands with Matt. Who stands with Petgrave? Me, you little fucking prick. Me. Go fuck yourself. I would block you, but I'm on a live stream. So if you want to know who, me, you little fucking hobbit. I'll rip your fucking ears. I'll rip your ears off your head, mate. So get back in your box. Yeah, so we go back to that, and we're at this kind of junction of we've got cameras off. Nobody seems to know which way the wind's blowing. We've got a barrister who's more worried about a fight than the actual contact. So let's say, purely hypothetical, folks. I skate in front of the net. Morsey's a D-man. I'm the forward. I give his goalie a chop. Nothing major, Probably needs a face wash, maybe a little cross check across the forearms. So guess what? Morsey cross checks me across the forearms. Absolutely fine. I then two-hand him. Baseball swing. Boom. We drop our gloves and fight. Is the first question going to be, well, they were fighting. It was quite a violent fight. Are we just going to ignore the fact that I fucking chopped him in half? Or are we going to go, in fact, we should probably look at that slash, seeing as that's what we're here to do, then just not worry about the fight? How's this any different?
And that's exactly what the problem is. Right? This guy is just obsessed with fighting in ice hockey. He didn't realize that he was there to bloody make a decision on whether there was a check to the head or not. He just washed over it. I don't care. Like, I'm going to whether there's a fight or not.
We know he's old Bill, yeah?
Yeah.
So am I right in saying he goes, if this happened at the pub, if this happened on the terraces or whatever it was,
yeah.
Mate, if this happened on terraces, we'd be going, why the fuck are people running around with ice hockey sticks? Like, what is going on? Did that guy just get cross-checked across the bar? Chad Reeky. I remember being out. I remember being out in a bar in Fife. Was it Fife? Maybe it was. I think we might have been through in Edinburgh, but it was when the Slough Jets boys up there. And Chad used to take a puck out with him in his pocket. And I remember we'd order out shots. And then Chad would source the puck from one end of the bar to the other. You're like, boom! But is that what he was expecting? Wait, I just get my bow and arrow, just get my hockey stick out, start running up to guys and Weatherspoon. I mean, by the way, I'm all for taking ice hockey to Weatherspoons and cross-checking people in the neck. Like, I really am. Like, if anywhere's to do it, it would be there.
So
that's irrelevant to the situation.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, he literally starts going on about, like, oh, if this happened, like, down a pub and stuff. And I had to turn around to him and be like, if this happened down the pub, surely you would expect your police officers to go and get a witness statement from the person that got assaulted there. like,
hey, no, they're going to come in anyway. They're just going to turn up.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, it was probably the most frustrating thing. And I've got so many things. We could be here for hours talking about some of this stuff for what it's worth, because there are so many things that we could pick apart now off the bat.
And we're going to. And we're going to pick it apart, because I want to address something that a couple of people said prior. Now, Shane's here he's here in an ex-pro capacity, in my view. He's here as a friend and someone I trust and quite happy to have this conversation with. We care about the game.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that Morsey's here as Oxford, and if he'd be in a suit if he was GM'd up today, because I know every time he's GMing it up, he's fucking Johnny Big Wheel in it. He's got the top Gucci on and he's cutting about, he's looking sharp. But we're allowed opinions, okay? Can't stress that enough. And that goes from Steve Nell to Todd Kelman to Shane Moore to Simon Beer, from Elite League to National to NHL 1 to NOHL 2, North, South, SNL, everybody. We're all entitled to opinions, because guess what? If we don't talk about all these things, that the shortcomings, in Morsey, in my career, your career, when we played, no one was talking about shit.
No.
There was no outlet. There was no outlet. Like, something like this happened, screwed, you got 10 games. Because there was no one going around and having the courage to talk about it. Obviously, I put a post out when I was away. And I'm going to address the Mike Major situation right now. I spoke to Mike briefly after the last one. I think I said to you, Shane, I said fair fucks to the guy. I think he sounds all right. And he enjoyed the podcast. He says there's some talking points, said some things I got wrong. Hey, I'll take that on the chin. I even said that to him, like, that's fine. So I put a post out when I was in Cologne saying I would resign if I was you, because we're going to drive the DOPS into the ground like a tempo. That wasn't me threatening Mike. Because my missus says, that looks a bit like a threat. I was like, no, babe, that's a heads up. He's actually all right. I said, he's actually all right. Like, I don't think this is this fucking guy. I don't want to come on and then throw it all at his door.
Yeah, so, and I want to back that up as well. I spoke to Mike quite a few times. Mike, I think, was embarrassed by the lack of support he got from above. He had, for what it's worth, he had good visions of what he wanted to do to have a positive influence on the sport. And he's been making a scapegoat. Nobody stood up and said, hey, do you know what? Mike's a good guy. No one from the UHA stood up and gone, he's a good guy. He was trying to do a good thing. They were just like, yeah, thanks. See you later.
I know. They had a thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was shit. That guy's tried hard.
I'm so glad for him, by the way. Mate, if you're watching this, Mike, fair fucking play, mate. I would have resigned. And that genuinely wasn't me being a dick. It was me going, I would resign, because fuck these guys. I would not want... Okay, and this will tee it up for anybody that wants to know my personal opinion on it. Everyone's like, what? I nominate you. I'm second, third, fourth. And I'm like, fuck that. I said, I would not do that, voluntary or for all the money in the fucking world. Even if they came and said, I'll pay you 4 times your salary right now, but you have to work with these fucking donkeys that are involved. I'd be like, no. Hey, you want me to do it? You let me pick my team.
Yeah. And on top of that as well, I'd want the people at the top change, because I want to know I've got support from the top.
Absolutely.
Mike Maiden's no support from the top. His thing when he was setting it up was okay, you know what? I need video by Monday so I can make a decision, get across to the teams. He wasn't getting video, so they were having to make decisions. And this is the other thing with Darcy's thing, right? They made a decision on the referee's report, no video. They made the initial decision on that, and that baffles me, mate.
And so we've already established that from the video that we watched, I was going to say no chance. There's 1 in 100 chance that Blaine sees that hit.
Yeah.
So if we have established that Blaine sees the hit wrong, calls it wrong on the night, which is okay. I'll come back to that. Yeah, which we've established that he probably didn't see very well from his angle. Now, you've then given 10 games. You've then gone to appeal and upheld it. You've all seen the video. Yeah, you've based it on the ref's report, Why do the videos have to be in by Monday? Why did Chelsea get fined £100 because one of the junior parents accidentally took the fucking camera home one day after? There was like an 18s game, and then it was Chieftains after. The parent just like packed the goal judge shit up, packed the camera up.
We got fined as well. We've been fined as well this year. We got fined.
This is what, yeah, but for what though? Because if you're not using the video,
Yeah,
then it doesn't. It literally, what are you wanting to see if Matt Lauday goes fucking backhand shelf? Like, what are you doing with this video? Are you sitting watching? Are you sitting and watching fucking 47 games across the NIHL 1, NIHL 2, National, North, South? And what are you telling me? You need all these videos for someone to watch them?
well,
If they're not going to use it when it comes to doing the appeal.
and even then, the way it's set up, you might have seen this, right? Off the back of us calling them out, they then went to press and said, "Hey, we want 2 new social media officers on this because they want people to basically sit and trawl through stuff for free, probably 20 hours a week."
What did you see that job release?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, how would you like to get bent over with no lube for free? That's how it read, because everyone that was messaging us, mate, we had some hilarious messages on the back of that. Like some hilarious messages, ex-pros and that. Then I think it even made its way into the old Slough. Like when I say the old Slough Jets, we're talking like some
old Slough Jets,
old school Slough Jets in the group chat, and everyone's like, I think again I'm gonna go with my boy Banners on the Wall. I think I was speaking to Ant about it. I was like, who the fuck's got 20? I've got 20 hours, no problem. To video, I imagine what they want is chop down videos, talk it through, do all that. I said that's fine on a weekend when there's 2 calls.
Yeah,
I'm thinking some of this weekends last year where you get 9 guys getting suspended on Saturday, 2 girls on Sunday, 4 juniors, and then this, and then where does it finish? Like that's a full-time job.
Mental. On that note, right? Like, is it worth actually just taking a second to mention the fact that this £500 appeal process is the same for juniors as well?
So little Johnny, his mum and dad are already brassic because a stick's £200, skates are fucking £500, £100 a month for the reps, and then you've got Cardiff away, Peterborough away, and Romford away. There's £300 on juice in 3 weeks, plus food and snacks, and you're talking £500 there. Oh, and little Johnny accidentally makes a little bump from behind, and it's not a hit from behind, but the ref again is at a bad angle or doesn't see it. And this isn't slagging refs off, just giving hypotheticals. And then all of a sudden, little Johnny's got to find £500, otherwise he's going to miss 10 games, which is 2/3 of the season.
Kids will walk away. You'll lose good kids from the sport. Because
imagine you're half good at boxing, cricket, football, rugby, anything, and you're at that 13-year-old, 14-year-old stage where you got to start making your mind up that you're good at hockey, and you bump a fucking guy like that, and they miss 10, and then you're practicing 2 nights a week for 3 months because it takes 3 months to play 10 games in juniors, and you don't play a game for 4 months in a fucking 8-month season. Nah, sorry.
Nah. See that? I'll go play another sport.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. So where do we go next? Because there's a couple of different.
I want to go. I want to go to my favorite thing that I've heard in fucking weeks, but I think I'm going to keep it a little bit longer because it makes me laugh inside. Because it's so fucking petty, and it's so fucking petty that it makes my soul happy. Like, call me a cynical crabbit old man if you want. But honestly, when you told me that, yeah, I just fucking smiled from the inside out. I was like, "Soph, you got to hear this." And it's the equivalent of a dad joke. Like it is the equivalent of a dad joke.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about that.
Okay. Well, let's get. So first, though, let's
talk the fact that after all this bullshit, it got downgraded.
Yeah.
To 6 games, which was convenient because he'd already missed 6 games.
Yeah.
Realistically, if they're going to downgrade that, my friends, if you're saying it's a downgradable offence, it should have been downgraded to nothing. Which, guess what? You can't claw back fucking 6 weeks worth, 6 games worth.
Yeah.
But this is the thing I wanted to ask you, Muzzy. So if they downgraded it, now you can attack this from whatever head you want. You can attack this from your Shane Moore GM Oxford 6 Stars, or you can attack this from Swindon Wildcats, Bracknell Bees, player Shane Moore. If you got found to be not guilty, mate, and you'd already served 6 weeks, you'd be a little bit angry, wouldn't you? As a player, as
Yeah,
as a GM, you just lost your guy for 6 weeks. Well, in your league, it could be 6 weeks because it's not always 2 games a weekend. It's sometimes 1 game a weekend. There's never a midweek game. I think it was probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He end up missing. You've thrown a guy from the other side of the other side of the planet. Like this guy's literally couldn't have come from further away.
no,
He couldn't have come from further away to come and play ice hockey in fucking Oxford. Like it's GM hat, player hat. How'd you sit?
Okay, so yeah, let's go GM hat, right? This guy has flown over like from Australia. He's played in Sweden for the last few years, right? Like the guy can play. And from a sport perspective, we've managed to like entice him over to Oxford. Good opportunity for him to come and experience something a bit different. Good import for us to come over. And then this happens. The guy's flown over from Australia to play ice hockey, and instead he's fucking working in a hotel and not able to fucking play hockey. Like he could have been at home doing some shit like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's sunny there. Like,
yeah. And do you think? And I hope I'm wrong, but do you think he's going to turn around to other players and be like, "Oh yeah, go and play over in the NHL One South"? Because
do you know, I think he will, Morsey. Do you know why? I might have even texted you this. I can't remember because we went a fucking bat for him, bud.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? He respects that as well.
I'd like to fucking think so.
Like
we went a bat for him. Like you probably put more on the line than I did, but I didn't need to get involved. But I'm a passionate man, and I'm passionate about the right way of doing things.
Yeah.
Am I always right? No. Do I get things wrong? Yes. Do I hold my hands up when I get things wrong? Yes. I felt that they got things wrong and didn't hold their hands up. And I felt they sued the guy, like straight up sued him. So I think when he looks back at the end of the season, yeah, he missed 6 games. So fucking what? You play the way he plays, you play the way I play, you play the way you play. You're gonna miss 6 games a season. That's just mate, that's just part and parcel of being willing to put your body on the line for the team.
Yeah.
What you cannot say fairer than is what Oxford have done for him post ban. I think he will talk favorably upon the league as well. Actually, he'll talk favorably upon the organization. He will probably go, "Hey, if you find a good club, go. The league's a fucking gong show, though. Like, don't do anything that is going to warrant you getting anything officially sanctioned or appealed or anything because you're pissing into the wind."
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things about this appeal thing as well, and this goes to show, in my opinion, how egotistical some of the people involved are. Their reasoning for downgrading it to a tier 1 offense, 6 games, they were like, "Oh well, yeah, do you know what? Because there's been this statement that adds an element of doubt, and the footage is grainy. So yeah, there's an element of doubt. So
we'll shit. It was filmed on a fucking Nokia 31 potato. Like what? Like what was we expecting?
But that's the thing. So they're like, "Oh yeah, so yeah, we'll downgrade it to a 6 game. But that's the minimum we can downgrade it to." That's a few.
What a saving face bullshit. But it's saving face without saving face. Do you know what? And I'm always a big advocate of this. Put your hands up, say I was wrong, say I'm sorry, move on.
Yeah, absolutely. People get things wrong. No problem with that.
Especially at a sport where you're running around at 30 miles an hour in massive pads with giant sticks and there's 12 guys on the ice and 4 officials. Shit's going to get missed. It is going to get missed. And do you know what? As players, Morsey, unless you intentionally cheap shot me, I get that, there's going to be bumps. We're going to have knee to knees. We're going to have maybe you elbow me in front of the net in a battle. Maybe I cross check you in the back of the head in a battle. Doesn't mean I want to kill you. Doesn't mean I want to hurt you. Doesn't mean I want to maim you. Doesn't mean any of that. It just means, hey, it's a hockey player in front of the net. We're battling. I want to win. You want to win. We're doing it for our team. Things are going to happen on that ice at speed. And unless you know the game, you should not be sitting on a panel passing judgment. I think I used the analogy last time, Morsey, I'll use a different one this time, but I'll say, hey, I play golf. I should not be sitting. I probably play golf 2 or 3 times a week. I shouldn't be sitting on a fucking panel that decides like whether this guy should lose 3 strokes in a fucking major because his club hit the sand or did it not hit the sand. I am not qualified to do that in the slightest. I would, however, be qualified to sit on this board and talk about it because guess what? I've been in practically every situation you can imagine as an ice hockey player. I've done 500 games played over, coached fucking over 200, 300 games, whatever it is. Even ref. I was ref when I was a junior. And by the way, that's the hardest job out of all of them. So going back to the blame thing, cut the guy some slack. Morsey. So we get the 10 game. We now go to the 6 game. Obviously, 6 games have passed. How nice, we'll come back to the DOPS thing in a second. How nice was it, though, for you, for the fans, for everybody that was in the building, for Darcy, to see him back on the ice? And I believe he got a tuck as well.
Yeah, like, mate, brilliant to see him back. Instantly lifted his morale, the team's morale. Showed, as you just rightly said, mate, that, you know, we'll go to war for these guys. Like, yeah, great guy. And I was really pleased that we could just get him back in the lineup at the end of the day.
By the way, Hullaby's dad's my favorite on social media. Just a fucking, he's just so loose. I love
Shout out Big Rod.
Shout out the Rod. Just, they don't like it up and Rod. They don't like it up and keep doing you. Right, we got a few more comments before we carry on. Okay, so in fairness to young Jack, he says, okay, I'm sorry for coming in hot. I don't know anything about hockey or about the 2 players. All I've seen is the video. So you could please tell me why you stand with Matt. Right, Jack, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on this one because you've done what me and Morsey said. You haven't as such apologized, but you've kind of, actually you did. It does say sorry. So you did say sorry and you fucking put your hands up. The reason we stand with Matt is because, like you said, you don't know anything about ice hockey, and we can go back to George Ellison on this one as well. Says he doesn't know anything about ice hockey. The only reason I'm commenting on this is because it's kind of intertwined. If you don't know, the game is played at such a speed, which when you might go, I've been skating before, but if you're pushing a fucking penguin around a cut up ice surface that's had 300 people skating on it for 45 minutes. You're not you might feel probably like when I went skiing with Bandy and thought I was fucking Lindsey Vonn out there. I thought I was Lindsey Vonn. I was getting wheeled past by like 4-year-old girls, like absolutely flying by me. But I felt like I was going really fast. You probably do the same on a session skate. You're not going fast. You're not. Elite League players, they're going pretty fast. You know, they're going pretty fast out there. A slight trip, hit, skate bump, stand on a puck, lose an edge, toe pick, stand on a skate blade, whatever it may be, chances are you're going to fall over. Now, sometimes you fall over, nice and easy. You just fall over. Sometimes you fall over, you do a headstand. Sometimes when you fall over, you do a roly-poly. So, sometimes when you get flipped, do you know what? There's so many different things that can happen. Now, in this scenario, the reason I say we stand with Matt is fully committed to track the player that's coming across the ice. He's bracing for contact. Then Adam comes behind him. He's already clashed with this player. Now, his reactions to fall forward, his legs came up. There is no intent to do that. And if you don't know the sport, Morsey does know the sport. Morsey, how hard would it be kick somebody? I'm not saying even in the neck. Could be neck, could be the arm, could be anything. But let's just isolate a 2-inch gap. How hard would it be to skate with your face to the play that way, laterally move, and throw that kick to hit a fucking spot this big?
Almost impossible. Almost impossible. That speed as well? Nah.
And everyone's watching the video in again grainy and slowed down. Guess what? That wasn't the speed that it happened.
No, exactly that, mate. Like it's almost impossible. I played the game, like I started skating when I was 16 months old. I couldn't do that. Like, you know, we played the game for how many years? Like 14, 15, 16, like as seniors, like that long. Like, you know, I could not have, like, if you
I maybe had a little 8-year sabbatical.
Little one. But you're coming back and signing for us, right?
No, absolutely not.
Shocker. There we go.
Oh, could you imagine? Department of Player Safety. You better start rounding up the troops. You better start getting fucking 8 camera angles in every rink. because I'll be coming in hot, throwing that 965 overhand right, boom. But jokes aside, though, like that's how quick it is, Morsey, isn't it? It's so quick.
You've got no control, like at that point. Like you've not deliberately done that.
If anybody is personally friends with me that's watching this on Facebook, go back, scroll back 4 or 5 years, longer than that, 8 years. Simon M, Nicky Pierce, Cat Midcroft, all of them in our Swindon days. It's probably the best place to play because we had 3 photographers on the night, every night. There's so many pictures of me tagged in. So if go have a look. I counted 25 pictures, whether it be shooting off the front foot, back foot in the air, getting hit or given a hit, feet in the air, somebody else's hit, feet in the air, celebrating a goal even. Seski comes under my arms and lifts me up. Guess what happens when somebody lifts you up when you're in ice skates? Guess where your leg goes? Goes that way. My leg's up here. Nearly kicks Pinky in right. I think you're in the picture, actually. It's in Swindon. I nearly kicked Pinky's head clean off because Pinky comes in for the celebration. Yarrow's lifted me up. But again, leg comes up in the air. There's another one battling in front. Someone's obviously tripped me up, and I need to share this because this is an embarrassing picture. I'm literally doing like a headstand, but Tommy Watkins' head, Morsey, is there. My skate is here.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm upside down. At this point, there would be nothing further from my mind than making contact with Tommy Watkins' head. I didn't even know that happened actually until I rolled back 9-10 years and looked through Facebook. This was 10 years ago. I didn't even know it happened. There's so many times in a game. Other one, Morsey, that I found quite profound. It was I was a home team. So I played for Swindon, away bench, playing Manchester. And I've been hit against the boards and my left shoulder into the boards. My left leg has come up the boards. Do you know where you'd be standing if you like lean over the boards getting a drink?
Mm-hmm. Just there.
Yeah. Like, okay. So happens it's guy. Haribin's turning around getting fucking his visor cleaned.
Yeah. Wow, how lucky.
That gap there where Haribin's getting his visor clean, I'd have kicked him in the chin or the throat or the face, or I would have kicked him somewhere in the head.
Yeah.
I would have not meant to do that. I get smoked by his D-man. I want like Matteson or Schnabel to crush me into the boards. I'm just going, okay, stay tight to the boards and try not to get absolutely annihilated here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The force of that man hitting me has forced my leg to come up.
Yeah.
Things happen so quick out there. I don't want to dwell on the Petgrave situation, but I thought, seeing as I called you a prick and called you out, I would.
Well, fair play to Jack for standing up and saying, "Yeah, sorry, I don't know much about it." So fair play. So was there any other questions before we move on?
Let's have a look. Yeah. For the casuals, they'll never really realize this is Alfie. For the casuals, they'll never realize the speed of those guys unless they've been out there with them. No, you really won't, honestly. No. And especially when you come back from summer and you get out there in September and those boys have been skating across the pond fucking 4 days a week. And you go, oh wow, he's quick. Like, you realize how quick. Even the guys that play. Even you guys that play, if you sack it off in the summer, maybe get a few pints in, yeah. You do the family holiday, you do the boys' holiday, you do whatever, and then you come back. Honestly, feels like skating in treacle watching some of these guys wheel around out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 things now in my head that I think we should go down. So
you want to screen share at some point, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one piece which is just around this George Ellison guy.
Okay.
So I'd like to do a little bit around him, and another one around the appeals process. So let's.
Mind if I top my drink up for 10 seconds, folks?
I don't mind. You crack on. I'll start by you carry on, mate.
You just intro it. I'll be 2 seconds.
Absolutely. So off the back of everything that's gone on and the appalling appeals process that has happened, I've gone and actually sent 2 emails to the EIHA, one requesting for information about George Ellison and his role, if you like, within the EIHA. And the second stream of it was me actually picking apart the appeals process, which I felt they've failed on across multiple points. So from my side, I think if I just start off my letter, my email, let me share my screen here. Okay. Right, so my point here, right? Let's just pull this back open. Where's that gone? Right. Okay. So what I did was I actually went and actually requested information about George Ellison. Now I did some very, very limited research, and I couldn't find George Ellison as a barrister on the barristers register. So I've gone and asked, basically a couple of different things. I'd looked to find information about him. Can't find any information about George Ellison as a barrister on the barristers register. So in light of that, I've asked him to provide a few details: credentials, qualifications, any relevant background information that pertains to his role as a barrister for the EIHA and ice hockey as a whole. I specifically asked for proof that he's authorized to practice, proof that he is independent to representatives of the EIHA board, which is an important one as well, which we can speak about shortly, and records of his reserved legal activities that he's authorized to undertake. All very, or should be very easy questions to answer for someone in that position. And basically, I've called out that this is for the good of the sport. And this, I want to make this really clear as well. This isn't about...
Banners on the wall says, no, he wouldn't have to be, would only need to be registered to stand up with the wig on. I missed the start of this conversation, so I can't chime in, but I've seen that. I've also been told to check my phone, so...
Okay. Well, as I say, I'm not saying that what he's doing is illegal. I'm not saying that. I don't know enough about the legal system. I guess my point is, does he need to, maybe Anthony can answer this one. Does he need, if he's using the term barrister on the back of his own emails, does he have to have, like, can he do that if he's not offering legal activities? That would be the question that I'd be looking to get answered. Now, off the back of that, I've obviously chased, and they've come back and basically said, yes. So, writing to confirm, Mr. George Ellison has been appointed as the independent chair of the appeals panel for the English Ice Hockey Association. Whilst Mr. Ellison is a qualified barrister, it's essential to clarify that he will not be practicing law in his role as the independent chair for the EIHA. That is why I'm particularly interested in him signing his name as barrister. So they're saying he is a qualified barrister, absolutely fine, but it's essential to clarify that he's not practicing law in his role as an independent chair for the EIHA. You on mute, Roy? I feel like I've lost you.
I am on mute, Shane, but I'm going to come in off the fucking top rope right now.
Go on.
And just to really confuse everybody what's going on. Now, I normally do a bit more due diligence in this, but because it's coming from my boy Jamie McElroy, I feel like I don't need to because, hey, due diligence is that motherfucker's middle name. If the EIHA want to be holier than thou with their DOPS process, they need to look at within to make sure they're clean too. At a recent game between Widnes versus Nottingham, their chairman stormed into the Lions' locker room, pinning a player to the wall and said he'd do him in.
Wow. That's the chairman of the EIHA, just to be clear.
For me, that looks like... would that be the chairman of the DOPS or the chairman of EIHA? Either way, if you're representing either, maybe don't go into a locker room and grip up a player. And also, shame on the players. Why didn't someone fucking give him a hiding? Well, imagine that back in the day, Morsey. You run in the room. Chinny would have fucking pile drived you into the middle of the changing room.
That guy wouldn't be getting back out of the
Just imagine Chinny just like picking the guy up and giving him like the backbreaker.
That is mental. So yeah, just to confirm, he is talking about Barry Archer, the chairman, I believe.
The chairman of the EIHA has just been confirmed. So Mr. Barry Archer, maybe that's a police tactic he learned.
Well, yeah, he spent quite a few years in the police with, and this is another interesting point, right? Let's go
to that. Let's go to that.
So it is, and you can see this on my screen actually, independent chair for the EIHA. I'm going to call him out on this.
As independent as me chatting to you right now.
Independent is it when you work together in the same department of the same university and you publish a book together,
which you can buy for $19.95. If they give me an Amazon code, I'll fucking share it. If they give me an Amazon code and I get a kickback, I'll share your book for you fellas.
But that's independent, you're telling me?
No, that's not. That is not independent. That's the polar opposite of independent. Okay, so if we are saying this is Barry Archer, then, which we are,
yeah.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You're donezo, my friend.
Mate, like, honestly.
I need to take these glasses off because of reflection. Sorry, people.
Independent chair, not in any world. And then, right, so here's the thing that gets me, right? And, I'm going to throw this out there here, but appeal process, £500, right?
Jobs for the boys.
Do I need to say
got jobs for the boys?
Well, bear in mind, right? So, in fact, probably a good segue into the fact that they failed on their appeal process and stuff. You meant to be the original point of this £500 was so you could bring together an appeal panel in person to talk about this. Not that you just pay.
Can we reiterate that, Morzu? In person.
Mm-hmm.
No COVID anymore, motherfuckers. That doesn't mean you get to do shit on Zoom anymore.
Nope.
The appeal process says in person. Wait there, Morsey. Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Was Darcy's appeal in person?
Nope.
Did he get to attend his appeal?
He did. Oh wow. Not originally.
I mean, originally.
Originally, no.
They just gave him 10 games with no real appeal, and you just get the email, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to clarify, that was all.
Well, tell you what, this is a great point for me to share my screen again, right? Because I have gone absolutely picked apart their appeal process. Okay? So, let's do this. Right, so I'm not even sure. My original email is not there, but that's fine. So Barry Archer responds back to me. I picked apart what he originally said, and I picked it apart because if you actually look at their, this is the DOPS handbook, right? This is readily available for what it's worth on the.
Mate, you're giving my fucking ADHD a meltdown right now. With all them moving around on the screen. You tried to do to my head. Slow it down a little bit.
So, right, I'm going to go really slow.
All right, piss take. No, I'm not that bad.
Right, no, I'm just going to flick up, right? I'm just going to come
let's go.
This is available on the EIHA website, readily available. Anyone can go on, download this. Department of Player Safety, Rules and Procedures, 2023, right? So, off the back of this appeal process, I've gone in and I've basically said, you know what? You've taken £500 off me, and I don't feel like we got our value for money on this.
He's like, that's a really nice bottle of whiskey that could be on my shelf with all the other really nice bottles of whiskey.
I do have a nice collection of whiskies.
Very nice collection.
Before we get into this, what you drinking right now? I didn't see.
I'm just on a couple of little rums. I've got to be at the airport at 6 a.m. because I'm going to Vienna. So I'm just having a little rum and coke because I thought this would be entertaining, and I am right. This is entertaining. This has been fun. It's always fun when we chat, Morsey, and now other people get to enjoy when we chat because this is basically what we talk about when we chat like during the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So this was my first email that I sent to the EIHA. Okay, so I sent this to a guy called Martin Peters, who's on the board. And I
Good
sent.
guy, by the way. Good guy.
Yes, I like Martin.
Yeah, me too.
I've got a lot of time and respect for him, actually.
Me too.
And then to Mike Maidens as well, who at the time was obviously the head of the DOPS.
Chief's dog body.
Yeah. So
Poor fucker, man. Honestly, I'm not just saying it.
no, I feel bad for him. I
Yeah,
generally,
me too.
but
I bet that guy had wicked good intentions. Yeah, when he's took that job on.
yeah, for sure, man. He's just been led out. Yeah, it's bullshit. Right, so I've gone in and I've said, right, okay, I feel like they basically had a miscarriage of justice, and I wanted to highlight some of these problems. So I pick it apart. So failure to constitute a DOPS committee, section 5.2. Their own rules process, it's not carried out by a committee as mandated. Instead, it's been elucidated by Mike Maidens that it's come to my attention, and I'm basically saying you've never done this. You've not done it properly. Second point here, section 18, right? So clearly out the fundamental rights of an appellant.
By the way, so shout out to my boy Barry. It's appellant, okay. Not shout out to my boy Barry. By the way, he's a head of a fucking law firm, so like he's a clever boy. He knows his shit. He let me fucking get all the way through reading all of it. By the way, that word's in there like 18 times, and he went, "Just so you know, for the pod, it's appellant." I was like, "What? You couldn't have fucking jumped in? Like, couldn't have jumped in before and said it wrong 18 times in a row?" And he went, "It's appellant." I was like, "Okay, cool." I said, "What's that mean then? Is that the same as an appellant?" He went, "Yeah, it's just pronounced appellant." I was like, "Okay."
There you go. I've learned something new today as well.
there you go.
Okay, so it basically they didn't give him the right to a proper notification of an appeal. The assurance of a fair and impartial panel never happened. So basically, those were denied as the appeal was dismissed based solely on the viewpoint of a lone decision maker, aka barrister George Ellison, depriving us of any chance to actually present our case. So our appeal, in their eyes, was us basically sending an email saying we want to appeal this.
What's your bank account details?
So yeah, to do that, you have to send £500. So we sent £500 and say we want to appeal it on this basis, and we think you've got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. They just come back with a letter from George Ellison saying, "Nah, you're all right, mate, but we'll just take you £500."
Cheers, mate.
You know, so in my eyes, and again, I might be wrong, but you know, he's just laughing. He's just got what's the £500 for then?
Well, you know so from speaking to my friend, her company charged her out at £400 per hour.
Right, but he's clearly stated he's not
a practicing barrister. She's a very much. I am practicing, and that's my gig. So yeah, £400 an hour. A company charge.
If he was practicing, different story here.
This is what I'm trying to figure out. So she told me the other day when I chatted to her, for her to say thank you, just in a response to an email, was £40. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to say that I've read all your details, but to be fairness to her, there might be a fucking 18-page email you got to read.
Yeah.
I know you're saying thank you. It sounds a lot. In this case, there wasn't much to do. You're not a practicing barrister, as we've been told, and not representing the EIH.
He's not offering legal services to the EIH. That's been called out to me. Clearly, he is not offering legal services. So what's this £500 for then?
I'm confused because let's throw it back to when I was a junior. I got a severe ban. I think it was 6-month ban, and I had to go. Can't remember if it's forest or city now. No, forest or county. I had to go to one of the Nottingham football stadiums, and they sat me in there in the fucking boardroom and basically told me why I was a prick. And I had like 5 minutes to go why I wasn't a prick. And then they went, right, 6-month ban. I was like, okay, cool. But there was a hall. There was a boardroom. That would have been probably $250 an hour to hire that place. It was minted, mate, right? Then you had your 5 or 6 panels. Okay. £50 a pop to get there in fuel.
Sure. Yeah.
There's your £500. You fuckers did this over Zoom.
Yep.
I mean, all right, maybe pay the guys 20 quid internet a month. You don't. That's not 500 quid. Like, what are we doing here?
Let's even go before that. The £500 wasn't for the Zoom call. The £500 was for a letter to come back from a barrister to say, I'm denying your appeal.
A friend of mine just made a good point.
Okay.
Why is the appeals fee the same now as before when there was no barrister involved before? Now there is a barrister. Okay, so where was that money going before? Before there was any sort of people involved, when it was all voluntary people, because we know that. To where does that £500 now go that there is a barrister involved?
But again, there's not a barrister. They're saying he's not offering legal fees. Sorry, he's not offering legal services or anything like that. They are making that very, very clear to me in these emails. Where was it?
Yeah. By the way, you went like fucking full Rain Man on that email. It was awesome, man. Like, it was wicked. When you sent that to me, I was like, my guy.
I spent a lot of time on that, mate.
Yeah, it felt like reading a UCAD email, if I'm honest, mate. It gave me PTSD, but like it was all right. I saw it start coming in bullet points. I was like, oh, here we go again. This looks familiar.
Yeah, this is another one. They were also advising me to be careful not to breach GDPR with the podcast. Well, sorry if I have, and apologies to Oxford and the fans and the rest of the league if I get kicked out for this.
No, genuinely, there is strictly no intent on our behalf to break GDPR. If I'm right in thinking, though, the fact that you're in this mix and the podcast, for one, it's my podcast. It's our podcast. Myself, Mark, Graham, and the ones that have come before, Mac, Bandy, and Claire Balding. And that's a private joke for anybody that knows who our old producer used to be. And your podcast. Well, no, I ask the questions. We have the conversation. You ask as honestly as you can. And if your due process is adequate, then you have nothing to fear.
No.
If it's not, and what we proved to say today in this conversation gets tongues wagging, then instead of pointing fingers, sit the fuck down and come up with a game plan to how not to do things. And then plan on how you are going to do things, how you're going to do things differently. Now, this is going to pain a lot of you to hear this. Reach out to John Colley from the Scottish Ice Hockey Association, from the SIH. I urge you to do it. Put your fucking ego at the door and listen to what the man has to say. I think if you can check your ego at the door, and you don't turn it into a dick measuring contest, you'd be very, very, very pleasantly surprised what that man has to say. Now, I had the pleasure of sitting with John a couple of hours over breakfast. We've talked over text. We've talked on here. And we've discussed the ins and outs of everything, really. He's a man that wants the right things for the game. He's a man that is doing good things for the game. And he is a man with very good ideas. Now, we haven't actually touched on it yet. I can't believe we haven't. Shane and Oxford kind of pushed the EIHA's hand on the fact that net guards were going to be coming into Oxford straight off the bat, coming in hot. Monday morning press release, 7 a.m. Now, with that, they took action. The Whitley Warriors were the next to go. And then a couple more. And then it kind of gets to lunchtime. And I was working, so I actually saw the EIHA one first and shared it. And then I saw the Scottish one, so I shared that as well. Now, I then looked. The Scottish one came first. Now, Scottish Ice Hockey always having these conversations, whether they were going to implement these rules and suggestions and a game plan. Now, I know that then that got taken to the EIHA and it got taken to Ice Hockey UK, and it was like, let's go here. What's your opinion on it now, Morsey? Obviously, you guys were the first to shoot. Do you think the EIHA could learn a thing or two from the SIH? And from him telling me the problems that I am never going to air on here because it's fucking way above my pay station, right? Way above my pay station.
I think.
But no, but what he's doing now, from what that is nothing short of spectacular.
Yep.
And if we could just be a little less egotistic and go for it. Sorry, Mosley, tell me what you think, mate.
No, I think you're right, man. Like, check your egos in at the door. Like, we're here trying to make the sport better.
It's not for us. We're all done. Like, we're all done. It's not for us. It's for the kids.
You think I'm giving up my time week in, week out for me? I'm not playing anymore.
No, we're done.
It's nothing to me. The Darcy Flanagan stuff's done. Like, I'm not doing this for Oxford. I'm not talking about all this stuff for Oxford. I'm doing this because I generally want the sport to get better. And I think the EIHA need to see what's around them, learn from what's around them. And I think they need someone at the top who's not afraid to make the decisions. There's been two.
Todd Kelman can come on here and telling me he's learning shit from Dundee Stars. Five Flyers. He's learning stuff from them. This is one of the best GMs in the Elite League. And my guy is sitting opposite me right now. I say, hi, I can learn from him. I can learn from them. Oh, did you see what this fucking club did over here? Oh, we love that idea. I need to bring that down to Cardiff. I think that's fantastic. You're talking about a guy that already sells out his barn.
Yeah.
It's in the top four of the league. It's in cup competitions. It's in European competitions. Can attract the best players. And he's taking ideas off the club that fucking can't win a game and finish bottom. Yeah. Like, check your fucking egos at the door, man. Like, these guys can do it. Why can the EIHA? And they've never been able to do it, Shane. Yeah. Never in our day. So I'm not going to act like, oh, in our day it was like this. No, because it wasn't. No one's ever been able to check an ego at the door at that place.
I don't want to go off topic, but you're right, mate. Like, they need to check the egos in and do what's right. I mean, there's been two things, right, that Oxford over the last couple of weeks as a club have done really, really well. The situation obviously in Sheffield, in Nottingham, heartbreaking. The next day, the EIHA come out and tell us all that, oh, you know what, we're not going to make a decision. We'll leave it up to you guys. Like, just make the decision. Like, so as a club straight away, we're like, we'll make the decision. I don't want my boys to have to make that decision. I don't want them to feel guilty about not playing or whatever. Yeah. We're just not simple.
Take it straight out of your hands, lads. You don't even think about it.
Exactly. Don't think about it. It is what it is. But the fact that the EIHA come out and say, hey, actually, do you know what? Make your own decision. But if you are going to cancel it, you've got to justify it to us.
Can we go full screen for a second, Morsey, while we're talking about this and come back to that in a second?
Yeah.
While we're talking about this, I think it deserves that. Yeah, I was shocked, mate. I was shocked because you're going to put it in a bunch of guys' hands who don't want to let their teammates down, but then are going round the lunch table on Saturday and their missus are like, nah, not today. Like, not today.
No,
Sunday, sorry. So the day after. They're sitting around going, babe, I just want you to stay at home. The fucking kids heard about, if your kids are 12 and 10 and heard about what happened, they got social media. They're not fucking stupid.
And why is it taking a third-tier ice hockey in the UK team to stand up and say, no, we're not going to do it? Why isn't the chairman, Barry Archer, standing up and saying, I'm making this decision right now? Nobody's playing. It's not Dave.
If anybody listened to my 3-on-3 episode with John and Scott, we talked about my conversation with Matt Lloyd. And I said, to be fair to Matt, I give him the benefit of the doubt. And I said, look, I was a bit hot-headed. I held my hands up. But I said to Matt at some point, don't be a coward fucking piece of shit. Make the decision. Ring every fucking club that plays out of your ice rinks and just say, yo, whatever you've heard is bullshit. We're scrapping the ice fees today. I said, because guess what? The EIHA did not do that. And they could have just came out, and this would all, Planet Ice would have never even got brought into it. If the EIHA just came out today and said, all games are off, it would have never got to Planet Ice. Now, I don't want to throw Matt under the bus, but he told me something about that situation where basically the EIHA spoke on their behalf. I'm not going to put words in his mouth because I know exactly what he said. He probably doesn't want it out there, which is fine. But again, it's like a double bollock drop because, some of the flack came down on Planet Ice after my tweet. and some of the shit that I said was wrong. I held my hands up and offered to remove it. I then amended some stuff, but again, the EIHA kind of skated off on that one, and just out of like respect to Matt, I ain't gonna go on and say what he said, but what he said's pretty fucking bad. And there's certain situations now where the EIHA are falling short. Now they fell short on that. They didn't really have much choice on their net guards, as we said. You kind of pushed their hand, other people pushed their
They
hand.
had to, right? And let's be clear, this wasn't even me as the GM standing up and doing this. This was Shannon Taylor and the coaching staff and the boys going, we want to wear this, like, you know. And
yeah, great, even better.
As a club, we're well behind you. We're gonna buy you the net guards. We'll support you on it. And absolutely, like, you boys are all now mandated, and we're doing that moving forward. It's not just for this season. This is, you know, an ongoing thing. People who want to play in Oxford, bear in mind as well, let's be honest, this is third tier ice hockey in the UK. Like, we're not talking about elite league stuff or you know, top level European or whatever, right? This is guys playing for a bit of beer money. Protect yourselves. Like,
by the way, I just saw something fucking brilliant.
uh,
CD says, no wonder Chaz and Brammer are behaving themselves for the dogs, can't afford the appeals process. Hey, let me tell you something. Those flash little designer little fuckers up there in Sheffield, oh, mate, all these kids in Sheffield, man, they all got the best of designer gear. I went shopping with Chaz when I was up there to do the road tripping.
Yeah.
Man's trying on like £1,400 denim jackets and that, and I'm like, Chaz, I can't be a part of this, mate. You're making me feel ill. He's like, see this hat? It's fucking sick. And I look at it, like a £380 baseball cap. I'm like, Chaz, I've never even heard of this brand. He's like, it's because you're fucking old.
It's not.
I was like, true, true story. But yeah, like, he doesn't want to pay for that. Wait, no. Another funny comment. Anthony Russell is like, Mac throwing Molotov cocktails off before he goes off penguin chasing. Well, my man Mac, that's what he does, and that's why I love him, and that's why you should follow him on Twitter. He's one of the best follows on UK hockey Twitter. If you don't follow Mac, follow him. Morsey, do you want to go back to your email and pull that back on the share screen? I'm going to pee while you do that because you can explain it way better without me interrupting you.
Cool. All right, man. Okay, so yeah, we went through the first one. They didn't pull together a DOPS committee. We went through the second one. They didn't give proper notification of appeal. Third one, absence of an impartial appeals panel. So no independent appeals panel was convened. Instead, an individual lacking experience or familiarity with the sport and its regulations passed judgment in isolation. So this is George Ellison making a decision on his own about a sport that he knows nothing about. And obviously that's contrary to section 20.1. I mean, for me, just unbelievable, that one. Then if we move on, I also call out here actually that it's they made a judgment call based on the fight between two players and not even the event that the player had a suspension for, the alleged check to the head. It's quite clear George Ellison had his own agenda here and was trying to drive his own agenda against that. Denial of appellant's right to attend. Darcy never had a chance to actually do that and give an option. Give his views on the matter. And then, the last one. This was the one that what he wanted, and I had to drop this in. The failure to record meetings, absolutely.
It just cracks me up, right? So I'm chatting to Morsey. And he's like, "What, you're like this because it's fucking paying." And I'm like, "Go on and tell me." So he's like, "Right." I noticed like no one's taking any notes. Like, we're doing all this meeting, we're chatting, got cameras off, cameras on. No one's taking any notes. Now, whether you're a practicing barrister or fucking not, you know when you go to a meeting, you take notes, you take minutes of the meeting. Now, from Basingstoke AGMs, my mum was club chairman. I remember all that shit. She'd come home with fucking pages of bollocks that all the parents had been talking about. Wolsey noticed no notes have been taken. So as the meeting's about to get signed off, he's like, oh yeah, just one more thing. Do you mind just sending me minutes of the meeting over after this? Knowing full well that not a single one of those people had took minutes, and maybe it's because I'm a man child, but I found that hilarious. And Morsey, what did they say when you said that?
Oh, mate, it was brilliant. It was literally just watching them one by one, face by face, just kind of drop and just be like, "Ah, shit! Like, I've been busted here." Like a real basic admin thing that you learn when you're like 18 years old. If you're going to do something like this, to just take notes and actions,
but
right?
there's a reason if you get, like, say, arrested by the police, right? We're going to have this down in writing, and it's going to happen because we're going to recorded it by tape. Here's your writing. Here's your statement. Here's the questions. Here's everything that's ever happened. Here's the actual evidence. Now, what's to say with no minutes being taken at that meeting that everybody just goes off and has a different thing to say? Oh no, this was what was said. Oh, that was what was said. No, what was said? I actually don't want to know what was said, not your, because according to this, and this, and this, on the same question, 4 different things were said. Like, how can you? Have you ever seen those studies? And they'll show I don't know, a baseball stadium, and they'll be like, what color was the fan's top that made the catch? And you see people arguing about everything, arguing, and everybody's wrong. Nobody knows. It's unless you're actually specific. This is the actual thing that happened, and I want to take it to Banners on the Wall again because he keeps dropping funny ones today. He said they can't fucking record a game sheet properly. You want to record in meetings? I mean, this is a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, is that more in line with kind of systemic failure, top to bottom? Of we joke about that, but it's not actually funny because the parents fucking Basingstoke under 10s from when I was a kid never watched a game of ice hockey. 2 weeks later, now fill in a game sheet. It's all done properly. Just yeah, I mean, pick your battles, but there's things from top to bottom that need fixing, and DOPS is a major one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you know what? Let me now just talk about their responses then, right? So Barry Archer then comes back to me on my points raised, and he says, okay, so point raised and response. Number 1, 5.2 DOPS committee. This section as such is not related to the appeals process. Fair enough. It's not actually directly related to the appeals process in this, right? It relates to the investigation of a game and out of the game discipline issues that are reported to the DOPS, each led with a section that is authority to issue supplementary discipline in line with the EIJ policy. So fine. Do you know what? I'll let him have that one. Cool. If that's the way it is, no problem with that. He's explained it. Makes sense. Section 18. This is the appeals process here. This is a mission statement of the appeal process. However, there is a need to be mindful that the independent chair the independent chair being George Ellison, that the independent chair has the authority to refuse such an appeal if they believe such an appeal would be unsuccessful and they supply a rationale for such a decision.
The guy's already said he doesn't know anything about ice hockey, so let's just scrub that one right off the bat. He doesn't get to make that call off the bat at all without seeing evidence because he doesn't know the fucking sport.
No, exactly. If you don't understand sport, how can you make that decision?
You can't. It's that simple.
They then go on to say, during the decision-making process, the independent chair has access to all the materials that have been provided and may seek extra guidance from other areas if needed. Well, he should need guidance all the way through, but his letter back to me was all I. Nothing about
we or us or whatever.
No, didn't talk about like talking to other people to understand what had happened, all the rest of it. And he clearly stated in that video call with when we did finally get an appeals process, he clearly stated in there his reasons was because it was a really violent act of Darcy Flanagan punching Joe Llewellyn to the face 5 times. So was he even judging the check to the head? and then also, right? So again, what's the £500 for? Because I paid £500 for a chairman of the appeals process to write me a letter back, but he's not offering legal advice. This is just a chairman. So why does that cost 500 quid? Where's that come from?
Where does it go? Where does it go as well?
Where does it go? I would love to find out. So yeah, so there's that, right? Where do we get to next? Section 20.1. An appeal panel will be facilitated if the appeal is approved to be moved forward as discussed above. The members of the panel are independent of the teams involved. So that's an interesting one to me. I'm unable to confirm any bias as suggested, as I was not part of the original panel. The feedback I have received is that the check to the head was discussed and the preceding fight as well. The check to the head was only discussed when I called him out on the fact that you're talking about the wrong thing, you fucking bloke.
Yeah, you're not even talking about the right incident.
When deciding upon a supplementary discipline, it's imperative.
Morsey, I don't like it when we're smarter than like people that are supposed to be smart. I don't like it. It gives me weird vibes. We're not supposed to be the voices of reason on this.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental. So he says, when deciding upon any supplementary discipline, it's imperative that all factors are taken into account. However, I will take your point on board and discuss this further with the DOPS team and the independent chair. So he's basically trying to defend himself, but also saying, but you've got a good point, and I'll go and speak to them about that, right? The next one, section 21.8. Once again, I've referred you to your point 2. You're correct. No panel was formed as it was decided that no appeal panel should be formed as there was no original grounds for appeal as discussed. Well, if you watch the video, you'd see there quite clearly a grounds for appeal, right?
I could give you one. I could give you one. He didn't hit him in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing that gets me the most, right? You know when you should be fucking shitting it?
Yeah.
When Dr. Victoria Silver comes out and says, I'm like the biggest hit in the head queen on the planet. Like, she is the queen matriarch of hits to the head. When she's like, what are you clowns doing? You should pack your tents and start running away. Like, literally, get on your bike and pedal, because you're fucking up shit creek without a paddle, because that is a lady that has spent her time researching this to the millimeter, to the brain scan, to the everything.
Yeah.
Why are these people not? Get her on a bloody panel.
Mate, she'd be great. So here's the other thing, right? He then goes on to say, however, once the additional information was received, a new panel was convened to discuss the new information. No, it wasn't. When we raised the fact that Joe Llewellyn's come out with a statement here to tell you that you've got it wrong, you shot us down again. It was only a week later when suddenly, Shane's gone on with
when the podcast has been out.
The podcast comes on and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll now convene a panel. That's not.
Could you imagine though, like if it didn't need to be a podcast, Shane?
Yeah.
You're Joe Blogs from Solent, and something happens that you feel you could actually ring up and have a brutally honest conversation like this without the fear of being reprimanded and banished to the abyss because you dared to stand up against the EIHA machine. Why they don't like? Well, I'm not saying they don't like me, because maybe they do, maybe they don't. I think I've been a lot fairer in my older age than I maybe did at the start, 2019, 2020. I think I'm a little bit more diplomatic now, but I'll still put my point across. I don't answer to them. I don't fucking answer to them. So, and I have a big following. We have a big following. Sorry. We have a big following. And that equates to answers. And somebody said, why are they all of a sudden now going to be like giving answers? Well, because nobody was calling them out in their bullshit before.
Yeah.
So some people were, maybe their following wasn't big enough. Maybe their opinion wasn't respected enough, whatever it may be. But now you have the worst of both worlds, because pretty much I know my opinion is respected and I know I have a big enough following. So when people are as good as Shane are going to come on and talk about it, then you're going to have these situations where hopefully It presses for good.
That's
That's what we're trying to do here. Yeah. Let's get it right. We're not on here for a pissing contest. We're really not. We want the game to get better. Now, the people at the top need to want the game to get better. They might think they do, but actions speak louder than words. And so far, I'm seeing fuck all.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just finish this one off then, right? So the last one, which was me calling them out for not putting any minutes down. He's like, oh yeah, section 21.5. You report that no minutes of the meeting were taken. This is a breach of the policy, and I'll ensure that takes place in future appeals. There can be a multitude of reasons for this occurring. Can there bollocks? Just get someone to get a fucking pen and fucking write it old school.
Or do you know, magic? Press record. Fucking hell. You literally, it couldn't be made any easier. And if I'm not mistaken, now with Google having an AI companion, you could probably type into Google AI companion, not Google, sorry, Zoom AI companion, Teams AI companion, whatever it may be. Type me up minutes of the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they'll do it for you. Like,
yeah, there's no good reason. So him turning around and saying, yeah, there could be a multitude of reasons for this occurring.
I lost you.
However, best practice would be to stop the proceedings and reschedule for a later date to ensure that the meeting is recorded. No, just press start in the first place. Press record and have someone there who's also taking minutes. Problem solved. Like, you've got 5 or 6 people on the call there. Surely someone has to be responsible to press record. 101 shit. Anyway, the outcome of that, right? I thank you for your email and bringing your concerns to my attention. While you may feel that not all your points are agreed, and I can assure you that your concerns have been noted, there will be some reviews of the policy to ensure that the systems are clear for all. Considering your application for a return of the fees for the appeal process, I've considered this and I'd be happy to return 50% of the total due to the fact that the panel meeting was not recorded.
Yeah. So the fact that they didn't record, you get 250 quid back, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at it and you go, well, they reduced the games. So they've admitted some sort of mistake. They've admitted another mistake. Where's the 250 quid gone that you don't get back?
Wow. I think we know. I don't need to answer that one, do I?
I mean, if it was me, I'd have spent on a nice lunch and some pints, maybe a bit of golf.
Nice golf, of course.
Yeah, no, 120 quid a round, you know, a nice lunch and a couple of pints in the clubhouse. That's what I would have done. Especially if it wasn't my money. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't my money, I could spend it like I don't care. And I would love to see, that's the other thing. Someone way smarter than me and with way more time on their hands than me. You can look into the EIHA accounts, it's right there. I mean, we've done it on this show before. 86 grand on a fucking website. Stevie Wonder would have done a better job, honestly. You could have brought any of them in. Ray Charles, all of them. All the blind guys would have legit done a better job on that fucking website. 86 bags. We had the, what was it, Spraudle last year. They can't get, they're like batting one. They're like batting 0.99. They get 1 in 10 things right. When are they going to start getting things right? When are they going to start listening to their members? Because ultimately, the EIHA are members' organizations.
Yeah.
You are here to represent the masses, not yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, the old Ken Taggart bar tab's great. But it's fucking, if that's what you're in it for, then do us all a favor and do one. You ain't going to get rich out of this sport, let me tell you that for nothing. So yeah, it's, you know, it might be a little bit of power, might be something good on the CV, but if you are genuinely not having our sport's best interest at heart, I do question why you would want to be involved.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Why are you there? Like,
yeah, why? Like, genuinely, and it's not moving a dick. I'm just, if you don't really give a shit, what are we doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, like me and you are sat here because we want the sport to advance, but we gave up a majority of our life to that sport, right? We've got genuine interest in making that better.
Yeah, especially now I'm like a proper adult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like got a kid. Maybe Brody wants to play it one day. Maybe your kids want to play it one day. Maybe fucking whoever's kids want to play. But maybe all our boys we played with. Maybe their kids want to play. Well, do you know what? I want them to play in a fucking place where they're gonna be treated fairly, where they're gonna have a chance to progress, where they're gonna have a chance to make an actual living out of it, and it's a career. And whether
Yeah.
that be the import number conversations, whether that be the Great Britain national team conversations, whether it be the EIHA, the DOPS, whatever the conversations that we need to have on this platform in order to do that, then I'm willing to do it. And that's a big part of the reason that I genuinely don't see myself making a comeback in December onwards, because I'm way more valuable to the sport now, doing what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong, we'll sell out a couple of fucking ice rinks. Maybe someone gives me a ticket deal. Then maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll come back for one night only. But like, I'm more valuable to the sport doing what I'm doing now, because we haven't had this really before.
No.
Especially from a player. We might have had fans or like good writers, good authors, good podcasters talk about it. But we haven't had players, ex-players, and everyone else coming on. Morsey, I've been sent some more information, and I want to ask you this. So there was a racist incident in that Lions versus Wild game, which kicked proceedings off. Now, there was someone getting kicked out, and then that's obviously when the Barry Archer thing kicked off. But prior to that, one of the imports got called a chink, accompanied by the old slanty eyes. Okay. And, you know, when the EIHA's chairman's son plays for one of the teams, there's no way he didn't hear about it.
Mm.
We saw how quickly that Bartlett won. So Bartlett incident, we'll get into that in a second. But we knew 2 days later what his ban was. Now, not through official sources, i.e., like an EIHA press release, but you know, we know people. So obviously, when they knew, we knew, and it goes to show if the incident was going to be dealt with, it could be dealt with. Now, why, if there has been, you know, someone getting called a chink, slanty eye gestures, and all sorts of other stuff, why has that gone quiet? Funny that. Funny that when he was there and then allegedly pinned someone up against the changing room.
As you say, allegedly, but I'd love to hear more about this. This is the first I've heard about it, but that is that's a powerful thing.
Well, I read a couple of things, and it says from an unnamed source that they wouldn't want someone to lose their position, but surely after this, their position is unattainable.
Yeah.
If it proves to be true, what has been alleged, there is zero fucking chance. That's the sort of thing I would do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the sort of thing that, like, a hot-headed ex-fucking hockey player would do in the heat of the moment. Not an ex-police officer who's chairman of the IHA. We're not the same person. You know, people go, "Oh, what, he did that? Oh, okay, yeah, well, well, well," and no one would be shocked. No one would be like, "Oh my god, what, he did that?" I'm not the head of the IHA. I'm not an ex-police officer. My son doesn't play for one of the two teams involved. Oof.
I think there needs to be an investigation into that. And
okay, let me ask you a question.
Who
leads the investigation?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, is that something, you know, where do you go from here? Like, if we think something is wrong with the EIHA as an organization, then who picks that one up? Because, well, I'll tell you what, let's go back to something you just said a minute ago. Me and you, we have an interest in the sport because we've done it for years and all the rest of it. We're trying to give something back to the game.
100%.
George Ellison, barrister, no interest in ice hockey at all, not providing legal services, we're told. what's his interest here? What's he doing this for? And bear in mind that he's meant to be independent. What's he doing it for? Where's that £500? You know, that's.
I mean, yeah, where is it? That was one of the things we were going to ask off the bat, and we're not alleging that they've taken it, but the cynic in you, if you're asking questions, would ask: is he getting some, all, bit parts of that £500? Because if not, what the fuck is he doing? Like, he needs to get a hobby. Like, seriously, dude, take up fucking golf. It'll be way less stress. Actually, it might not be. There might be a couple of 9 irons in the woods and a couple of drivers in the lake, but you ain't gonna have this shit to deal with. And if you're not doing it for monetary reasons, I cannot expect you making wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision is going to help your studies with your PhD in any shape or form. Because what you're going to do, take it back to the guy that marks it at the end of your PhD and be like, well, I fucked up on this and I fucked up on that. And that's not going to be a good look for you either. So what is his angle, Morsey? Tell me.
I've got no idea. I literally have no idea. There's quite a few questions that need to be answered for me, mate. I don't know who goes to get those questions, because if we're talking about people at the top of this and you're talking about a barrister that's not supplying legal services. But
if he is a barrister, he should be at the top and he should have been always leading. Mike should have never have been leading. He should have had a job within. Because surely if you're a barrister, like, not always, but most of the time, you should be the smartest guy in the room. And if you're the smartest guy in the room when it comes to leading a team, you should probably lead the team.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wasn't. And I don't entirely understand how Mike got the role. Some people, obviously, we've been very fair to Mike, but some people have had criticisms. And their criticisms were generally, well, mate, you let this shit fly. You took the gig and let it fly. Knowing full well, was if that was me and you, and they went, you're going to have to come out and do that. No, that ain't going to fucking happen, mate. You're going to have to go back to the drawing board. You're going to have a look at that. And you're going to have to come to me before I put a statement out. And you're going to have to give me a good couple of reasons why this is a hit to the head. Because I ain't going to put my name to this bullshit unless you have a bloody good reason. And if the reason is a fight, that isn't a bloody good reason. And I'm not putting my name to it. So it wouldn't work with me because I'm not a yes man. I'm not saying Mike was a yes man, but it would kind of lean that way in the fact that, well, he didn't say what I said.
Yeah.
If you just said yes and put it out there, then yeah, some accountability does have to fall at his door. But I don't think he had enough power to really do anything about it.
No, I don't think he ever had enough power. I think he was the face of it. I feel sorry for him because he was the only face of it. Everyone else was gutless and hid as anonymous people behind the scenes, and they still do. The people making these decisions are anonymous. And do you know what? If you're actually competent at what you're doing, why do you need to stay anonymous? Like,
here we go, banners on the wall. Again, it's exactly a year since my Sportle. He did a really good reporting piece on Sportle last year.
I remember.
Crazy. It was a year ago. We still have no game management software in use. And that thing cost a fucking bomb, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like, they sunk a good few quid into that. I mean, that could have been used to do what 4,000 Count are going to do in 2024 when we raise money for our charity games, which is put youth tournaments on up and down the country in every rink other than the Planet Ice one. That's what happens when, and this was a big point of that. And in fact, this idea came on back of reading the numbers from the not Planet Ice, the EIHA statement. When I was like 86 grand, went on a website. I said, all I wanted to raise, Shane, with I've definitely got 2 charity games, potentially 3. And I said, I want to raise 20 grand. And I then reached around to rinks, and we're going to have 6-hour tournaments, much the same as our charity game tournament, you know, the 4-on-4 Mozzie.
Mm-hmm.
Same format, but we're going to have 5 teams. So it's going to be mixed in. 1 team missed out, 3rd v 4th, first v second. Each team will get 5 games, all done exactly the same clock, exactly the same period length as what we do with a charity game. and they're going to be 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, all in different locations. You know, get clubs buying in, inviting each other to each other's tournaments, and just put a bunch of hockey games on. I'm going to bet do that 20 grand, and I think I'm going to be able to put on 20 to 24 grand, 20 to 24 tournaments minimum if I can raise that.
Insane.
That's how the money should be spent. Not 80. Right, okay. So let's say I do that for 20 grand, Shane. That is a fourth, a quarter, just less than a quarter of what EIHA spent on the website, and I'm going to deliver 20 to 24 tournaments.
Yeah.
Imagine what they could do with fucking 80. They could put 80. They could put 90 tournaments on. 90 tournaments they could pay for. Clubs don't have to pay a penny.
Yeah, and that's just the website you're talking about. If you actually look at what they got in the bank, mate, like, they got a lot of cash in the bank. What are they doing with it? Why are they just sat on money? Like, this is meant to be, like, put it back into the sport, make the sport better, give grants out to teams for, I don't know, learn to play sessions.
Yeah,
like,
brilliant.
You know, like, that's,
we all know that's how you get the people involved.
Absolutely. Like, do grants to do I don't know, free kids tickets or something. Like, build a schools program across the whole country that is aligned. Like, there's so many things you could do for good, like, with the amount of money they've got in there.
I've got a good question, and it comes from our boy Rod the Bud. How do teams get referee reports after the game? Good fucking question, because if you find out, let us know. we're still trying to find out. I think that was one of my first questions when I found out from Shane. He goes, "Oh, it's done on the refs report." I was like, "Great, let's get the refs report." Oh, no, you can't have that. Oh, great. So the thing is, Shane, criminal proceedings. You allege that I do something to you. I get to see your statement. It will be in my court pack. It will be in my arrest pack. It will be in whatever the pack is in the criminal proceeding. I'll go, Shane Moore alleges that you snuck up behind him and whacked him in the back of the head. Okay, cool. But it'll be your words. I left the bar. The guy in the black jersey did this. Okay, cool. I can dispute that because it's now there. I can dispute it. Whereas with this, there's a referee's report and it's just like, well, we've read it. Fuck you. Like, okay, cool.
I've still to this day not seen the referee's report. There wasn't evidence or anything provided at this trial for us to, like, look at or dispute or anything like that. It was just, oh yeah, here's what he said. What?
Does the referee's report count as minutes? Maybe. Hey,
so
whatever. Sean says, "What if a chairman?" Nope. Nope. Hell no. Do you know what? Actually, if you let me pick my dream team, and you give me access to that bank account, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. I think people would be mesmerized how much it would change overnight.
Imagine
all of a sudden, every junior club, before training, you're going to have a shooting alley. You're going to have a fucking gym coach. You're going to have bonus 2 hours ice time for whatever age group per month. Money's going to get just dotted to you. There's going to be tournaments all over the place. We're going to invite teams from Europe over. We're going to host them. We'll make sure that they're billeted out. We do it properly, like any good tournament myself and Shane ever went to as a kid. And we get the local community involved, and we continue to try and grow the sport. That's how I would roll it as a chairman. And I'd stop all this fucking under GB, under 10, 12, fucking 13, 14 nonsense, and invest where it matters. What I would be doing to those kids is saying, do you know where you need to be? You need to go to Ozone, learn from Danny Myers, Matt Ford, the boys down there. This is great. Instead of you going to get fucking speed bagged by some club teams in Slovakia, we're going to send you down to Ozone. You're going to work with Mizey for a week, and you're going to learn more in 10 hours than you've learned all season combined.
Again, though, good players giving back to the game. I love things I love to see, mate. Players giving back. Imagine if you had the EIHA right now ran by ex-players. You had, I don't know, I love,
because there's some smart ex-players, by the way. Some of those boys are smart cookies, man.
And let's be clear. I love what I do at Oxford, but if there was an opportunity right now
It's a rogue
Just
sport.
get rid of the EIHA as they stand at the moment and replace it with Nicky Watt, Shane Moore, Michael Farn, Jamie McElroy, whoever, right? Like ex-players that want to give something back. Danny Myers is going to jump on board and Matt Ford's going to jump in there. Get guys that care about the game. I would drop Oxford in a heartbeat.
Do you know what's interesting, Morsey? You said ex-players. Now, if you just chucked us 5 together, guess what? Current players are on board as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's where it changes, because there is not a single current player or ex-player, to my knowledge, that would work with any of these people.
Yeah.
Now, to my best guesses from knowing a lot of players, you put all those 5, 6, 7 guys in and amongst the board, and let's get some women in there. Let's get Nicola Bicknell in there, Angela Taylor, Natalie Aldridge, Leanne Ganny,
as well. Get Joy Topman
in. Joy Topman, Dave Cloutman, Matt Thompson. The list goes on, right? Okay, so you get these kind of people involved, yeah. And then that round table, that 15 strong round table, then can reach out to, maybe it's John O'Phillips playing down in the NIHL now. Hey, John, we need a fucking guy down there. We need a guy down there. Okay, NIHL 1. Watty, you're one of the most experienced guys in NIHL 1. You played for Elite League. You played for there. You won championships. Right. We need someone we can talk to in that league. Right, up north, and you go. Tony Hands, right, you're coaching there. Can we just lean on you a little bit for little bits of information? Wherever it goes, you start. And guess what? These people would work with you.
Chow guy, like guys like that could just they don't have to offer a decision on their league even, but just an overarching piece that can feed into the betterment of the sport. Imagine that.
Other little things, mate. I chat to some NHL boys.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you mind just having a look at this clip?
Yeah.
And tell me from your point of view what you see in this clip. And in fact, actually, in your fairness, Muzzy, when you first sent me the reason we bring it all back to now, the reason we did this podcast, when you sent that to me, you said, you didn't give me like, hey, oh my God, what they're saying it's a hit to the head. You said, what do you see? And I was like, I'll keep watching it. And I was like, I don't, nothing. A bad fight. Like, I was like, I don't know what you're sending me. And then the guy got 10 games. I was like,
yeah.
That's what I mean. Imagine sending that to an NHL guy who's legit played 600 games or whatever.
Like, I didn't lead you down the path of that at all. I literally sent you the video. What do you see here? I was generally interested to see if I was missing something.
Muzzy, have you got anything else? Because I'm just cautious of A, the time, I've got to fly in the morning, and B, once you start creeping over this 2 hours, it becomes really difficult to edit.
I think all of the really important points, mate, and listeners will make their own minds up on what we spoke about.
By the way, there's been a lot of people listening live the whole way along. So shout out to you, and especially the ones that stayed, because we've been chatting for like 2 hours. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And safe flight in the morning.
She got really short there. Hey, I don't know why I did that. And then it's like the first time I've been shorter than Morsey in my life, and it gave me anxiety. I had to bump my shit back up. Morsey, this has been fun. I think once again, we've come from a good place. We've come from an honest place. We haven't gone too hard. Realistically, if you think we've gone hard, and this is directly aimed at the IHA, so I will look down the camera because I'm going to talk directly to you. If you think we come hard, then I pity you a little bit. And there is more people out there other than Shane that will be willing to talk up. And if you keep burying your head in the sand and keep pretending that these things aren't happening and keep doing the same old things, then you will get called out. Now, the older, like I said, more professional me, try to do it in a bit of a different way than maybe I would have 3 years ago. But at some stage, if I keep seeing the same shit, old me's coming back. Old me's coming back, because I want it to be professional, but help yourself out. Help yourself out. It's much the same as the Planet Ice situation. I still haven't responded to the fact properly that they put a condolence message out to Adam Johnson one paragraph and then 3 paragraphs about the 4,000 count podcast. I mean, I still can't believe it. Can I believe it? Yeah, probably, but they did it. But guess what? If you wait with these organizations just a little bit, it doesn't even take long. 10 days later, witness fucking carbon monoxide leak. Planet Ice. You wait long enough for the EIHA, you wait long enough for Planet Ice, they put nails in their own coffin.
Yeah.
They're the only people inside a coffin try to fucking hammer the lid down. I've never seen anything like it. They do, mate. Honestly, they can't get out of their own way. And sadly, this is what we're up against in UK hockey. We're up against, and not all members of EIHA, as you said, we talked about Martin, massive respect for Martin, and Adam Moultrie. There's other people within the EIHA that we have huge respect for. Sadly, when you're all under the same brush, then you're going to get tarnished with the same brush. And that's not what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to raise awareness and put some truths out there. And everybody's probably now getting a real good look at how this a process actually went down. And hopefully, let's say a similar situation happens in March, we hear about it being dealt with in a completely different format. You know, okay, right, your player got this. So Monday, get the video in. Okay, right, Wednesday, we're going to invite you to Slough Ice Rink to sit in the bar. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go through the video. We're going to go through the appeal. We're going to make a decision. Okay, if I'm spending 500 quid on that and you're bringing 3 or 4 bodies down and you're hiring the bar out in Slough, I'm happy with my 500 quid. You keep the fucking money.
Yeah.
Keep the money. That's fine. You then make a proper appeal. There's a panel there. Everybody does it. If we're hearing that in March, this podcast was totally worth our time.
Absolutely.
If we're not hearing that in March, well, you're not fit to wear the shirt and you need to leave.
Yeah. And I'll see you again in March to discuss it.
We'll see you again in March. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Road Tripping episode 4 Cologne is dropping on your YouTube 7 a.m. tomorrow. We will be back with Chelmsford Chieftains coach Lewis Clifton next Monday. And Road Trip episode 5 kicks off at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. This time tomorrow, I'll be with my boy Mark. We'll be in Slovan we'll be in Bratislava checking out Slovan Bratislava versus HK Nitra in the Slovak Extra League, followed by Friday, Brno in Czechia now, taking on Kladno. And Mr. Jaromir Jagr may be playing his first game of the season. I do have blood flow, I'm not going to lie. No, strict blood flow. So excited. Honestly, I can't wait. If he's playing, I'm going to be like a fucking child. Mark's going to have to literally handcuff me to the railings. I'm going to lose my shit if that guy plays. Honestly, I've been trying to see him live for my whole life. I'm 37. I never thought. Imagine when you were 16 thinking, yeah, imagine the first time I'm going to see Jagr play live. I'm going to be 37. He was already like 31 when I was 16. It is wild. The guy, and I think he what was he, a point a game in the Extra League last year, 50 years old?
Mate, you're going to love it. Enjoy.
Okay, folks. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit subscribe. Share this about. Get this on your social media. X, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter is X. I get confused. Facebook, all of the good stuff. Get it on your groups. Get it talking about. Let us know. Were we right? Were we wrong? Did we tread? I thought we traded fairly, Morsey. Hopefully everybody else did too. EIHA, once again, open invitation. You know where the number is. You know where the email is. 4000accounting@gmail.com. You're welcome on here. It'd be good for you to answer some questions from your members. I know I'm no longer a member, but I represent a lot of members. You know, in the tens of thousands, just that many. So if you wish to come and enlighten your member group, we would love to have you on. But for now, Morsey, I thank you very much. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Peace out. We will see you again very, very soon.